By having a shorter line down here, they're trying to entice the boats to start down here. But from this angle, you get a faster boat speed. And a lot of times we've seen the winner come out of this starting line from the right-hand side as we look at it right now, even though they're going actually a longer distance.
New Zealand with port entry this time around. So Peter Burling, who was delighted, I think we could tell that from the interview, he was delighted that he was the guy who got across the start line in front. Exactly. He was the one at the first mark after all the talk, because there's been so much chat about his vulnerability at the start line. And I think that really meant a lot to him.
He was asked that question, how many, 100,000 times? I mean, he got tired of that question. If we've ever seen him get a little feisty with any question, that was it. What's going to happen on the start? And I kind of proved that he may be learning something as we go along.
So let's talk to Joey Newton, part of Oracle Team USA. He's out there on the water for us. Joey, what will that start in particular do to the dynamics of this pre-start now for Jimmy Spithill?
I think not much, Ali. I mean, it was a pretty obvious error turning back to the line too early. He might have thought the breeze was a little bit lighter than it was, but it was just clearly a big mistake on his part. So I think he'll go back to his normal game. He'll have his normal time he turns around, and I think we'll see a much more even start this time.
As the dance begins between the two boats, will they engage each other, or will they stay kind of separated like they did during that last pre-start?
Race number 2 of the America's Cup match. New Zealand against USA, the oldest sporting trophy on the line and the best sailors in the world on these, the fastest boats in the world. It really doesn't get too much better than this. And the pre-start cat and mouse progressing.
So I think you're going to see Emirates Team New Zealand take a little bit of a left-hand turn here shortly. Spithill will start going after him and start pushing him. And there they go. There's that left-hand turn. Spithill gaps right off. 33 seconds to go. He's going to continue to keep pushing. He's going to push Team New Zealand right down to that ley line, that yellow line out here. That's kind of a line where you probably don't want to go too much further than, because you'll be going upwind into the wind and have a hard time getting back to the start. Oracle much more aggressive in this pre-race.
Jimmy Spithill has really gone after it this time around, determined to make up for the error. Peter Burling hot on his tail. Both the boat speeds very different to how they were in race 1, but they are all clear. They both are across the line now.
Acceleration contest now. Who's up in their foils and who can accelerate the quickest? Remember, Emirates Team New Zealand from that slightly higher, maybe faster angle. Can they get down over the bow and use their wing wash to push Oracle back again? And there they are. They're pressing. They're not even heading for the mark. They're pressing over the top of Oracle and roll over the top again. Burling, 2 for 2 on the starts. I don't think anybody was expecting to hear that call. And really upset. I mean, really intense about it. Look at this. Oh.
Well, it's just as if it's the most natural thing in the world to him right now to be in charge of this flying machine at nearly 30 knots of speed, leading the veteran Jimmy Spithill up to mark number 1. For the second time this afternoon, he's the one who's dictating the terms of this event. And Jimmy Spithill, the man who has been successful in the last 2 America's Cups, is the one who's chasing.
Might get a little better read on the boat speed in this contest. They're rounding at similar boat speeds at similar times, probably in similar puffs. You know, that again, that dark water, they're aiming for the dark water. That means that's wind speed.
Okay, let's stand by.
Better wind speed.
Equalize. Okay,
critical first jibe.
1. Very light, Tommy. Very light. Got no depth, mate. Put it in when you can.
As ever here, the key element, the smoothness of the manoeuvre, to minimize the drag and make sure that the boat speed stays as consistent as possible.
But I think we saw a 3 or 4 knot speed difference in that jibe. And look at Emirates Team New Zealand carries that speed difference into all of a sudden a 130-meter lead. Probably a ley line. We look in the lower left corner. They're probably zooming in on ley line into this bottom gate. Oracle will look for a split most likely at the bottom gate, at gate number 2.
So the ley line, those 2 yellow lines to each side of the screen, which gives you a good indicator as to the best possible path to make the gate in one without further maneuvers.
Might be an early tag. He does.
Wow, New Zealand is absolutely tearing it up at the moment.
Right, both sides.
Sits up.
They're all on their Code 1 jibs today, lighter air jibs. This is the biggest headsail that either boat can possibly carry. They're one design jib, so all the sails for the first time in history are actually one design, exactly the same shape, size, and mold.
2, 1, here we go.
There's no difference there.
We're close here, boys. Okay. A little further. We're going to attack early here.
Play catch up.
Stand by.
And this was not really part of the game plan. Not part of theirs anyway.
Standing by. 3.
We're looking at match racing here going on right now, Ali. This is very much different than a lot of the multi-hull match racing we've seen in the past. Boats tacking on each other. You know, this is much more classic match racing that guys like Joey Newton and I have done over the years, especially in monohulls. Joey, we saw that other red and black boat from New Zealand look pretty quick on that first run.
Yeah, that's right. It'd be hard to argue they were going slower down that first run. They had a really nice jibe and a really nice mode straight into the left-hand mark. So yeah, they stretched out pretty quickly in that one.
I wonder how much angst and concern there is in American ranks right now after these early skirmishes, Ken. They're already beginning to think, wow, okay, we got a bit of an issue here. We've got a New Zealand team who look to be on top of their game in a very quick boat.
There's no doubt about that, especially we all thought in lighter air they'd be good. I'm not so sure we thought they'd be this good. A little more breeze maybe forecast for tomorrow. And by the way, this race isn't over yet, but from what we've seen so far, Kiwi fans around the world are kind of licking their chops.
Come over our shoulder here.
High up on their foils, the Cyclores head down, singular of purpose.
Yeah. A little lull here, and we'll get a
Peter Burling sunbathing with a Scotch egg in his back pocket.
Just pure boat speed right now. It could be a little more wind pressure out on the race course where they are, but true wind direction, a little more of a right-hand shift.
And you always say to me that the VMG, the bottom number in those blocks, is the key one. Just explain that for people new to the sport.
Well, it's hard to, when a boat tacks or jibes, all these numbers get a little skewed, but prior to Oracle actually tacking right there, you just saw all the numbers in New Zealand's favor. They were in a better right-hand wind shift. They were going faster, and their VMG was better. If you're a sailor, that is the holy grail of a combination of factors with regard to speed.
In general, I think we're going to sail a bit faster.
Looking like a pretty significant one.
Just a little. I think we're sailing quite a bit higher and slower. We're all light here, guys. Just take it. Pressure looks the other way. Light increase. Okay, let's stand by here. Over and on.
Slingsby talking about higher and faster, higher and slower. That's a mode. They can change their modes on the boat as to how they want to sail the boat upwind. Higher meaning closer to the wind and a little bit slower in boat speed, or lower and a little bit faster away from the boat speed. It seems like the Kiwis are doing whatever they want at will in those radical turns sometimes.
Just another super quick tack. The way they throw those bows round in double quick time, and yet they're bang on the ley line. They're heading for gate 3. They're moving at 25 knots. They're going as well in the Kiwi world, seemingly.
They're going to loop right around that mark right there and just extend big time, just on really good tactics. And they're going faster. Watch them come screaming into this top gate. They're going to have another 500-meter lead here in no time. Motor sound is the actual hydraulics working the wing. That's Glenn Ashby. He actually doesn't even have a winch on this boat. He just went to look to leeward, by the way. He just went to look around the other side of the wing to make sure they weren't going to interfere with Oracle. They want nothing to do with Oracle at this stage. Stay away, stay clear, just keep doing your thing.
And by and large, that's been their policy throughout their time here in Bermuda, hasn't it?
Very fair point.
They like to keep their noses clean and sail their own race. Jimmy Spithill would love to drag them into a dogfight.
Pressure's above you, lifting pressure. Got in 5 seconds. Ley lines are terrible on the box.
No let up for the grinders.
Half up on 4, 3, 2, 1, good puff. And that's to the middle way.
Maybe go back out to Joey Newton. There's nothing that appears obvious to us looking at the screen, Joey. Is there anything that appears obvious to you on the water? This is a pretty big discrepancy.
Not really, Ken. I mean, there's the obvious sort of foil difference shape that we're seeing, sort of big, more kinked shape and maybe a tiny bit longer on the New Zealand boat. I think, you know, Pete's sailing really well, Blair's making really good calls, and once they get in front, they're just sort of piecing all the wind shifts and the puffs of breeze together and extending away. They're just doing a really nice job of sailing the boat, I think.
Through this entire series, and Joey, thank you for that. Through this entire series, since race number 1 of those ladder rounds early on, Team New Zealand has not lost a race that they have been ahead at mark number 1.
30 seconds to bow. Drive, sorry. Softer on the bow, copy? Yep. And what's the numbers say? Yeah, numbers are good.
On board with Team New Zealand.
And it's usually minimal, the conversation, but it's clipped, it's precise, and it's just exactly what everybody needs and nothing more.
That is the sign of a well-oiled machine, my friend. That is exactly how you want it on any sailboat, for that matter, not just an America's Cup foiling catamaran.
Good pressure over our shoulder, though.
And at the heart of it all is Peter Burling, 26 years old, unflustered, ice cool, very instinctive. And I was reading a fascinating piece about him, Ken, in one of the newspapers from New Zealand, which was just talking about his real natural feel for any kind of race course, his ability to spot wind shifts, to just be in the right place at the right time.
I do a lot of offshore racing. Let's make sure he doesn't go into offshore racing.
Put a blanket ban on him. Extend your career another few years, Kenny.
This is dominant, huh? This is just fully dominant right now. Interesting that we are hearing Blair Tuke and Glenn Ashby certainly giving a little more information to Peter Burling. We were under the impression that he was doing most of this tactical wind shifts, positioning himself, but clearly we have a couple microphones maybe on the boat that we've never had before, and we're hearing quite a bit more from Ashby and Tuke with regard to just helping position the boat on the race course.
Yeah, 107. Slowly up on the bridge. Going down this one.
You look at Jimmy Spithill, his hands on the wheel right there. He's actually moving the foils fore and aft with those twist grips on the steering wheels in order to control the flight of the boat.
Trim.
I mean, nothing looks crazy slow, you know. Nothing looks out of whack on board Oracle, except for the fact that they're 650 meters behind.
Well, if there were toys being kept in the shed on shore, the Americans are going to have to empty the box.
Going to have to go look again.
Get the numbers rolling.
Always difficult to try to establish exactly what is kept up anybody's sleeve at any given moment in the America's Cup campaign, but you would expect that if there were new little details and adaptability to their design, they would have done all that in advance of today.
Especially this light air forecast has been in the mix for a long time. For as far out as the weather forecast really can be very accurate. And they've known exactly what's coming, so you would never think they're keeping anything back. Not a perfect tack. They didn't get the board down early enough for Emirates Team New Zealand. Kind of a rare, unperfect, if that's a word, unperfect tack from Emirates Team New Zealand.
Imperfect.
Imperfect, unperfect. Is that the difference between American English and English?
So leg 5 of 7, and the New Zealanders are looking in total control right now as we get a decent perspective as to where they are on the race course from the helicopter hovering up above.
Look at these VMG numbers again. Even though they're on opposite tacks, they're both settled in. New Zealand is a little out of whack right now because they're on what's called the headed side of a wind shift, angled away from the line. These VMGs, when the two boats line back up again, these VMG numbers are super critical. You've got to imagine all the teams are watching it, or all the players from each of these teams are watching it very closely.
Just to be clear, the VMG, the combination between boat speed and angle.
Correct. And the wind direction has a big, is a variable obviously involved there, but it's how close to the wind and how fast you're going. You can go closer to the wind and slower. You can go further away from the wind and faster. The VMG is that perfect combination between the two.
Coming up here. Got no can. Yep.
Kiwis, because of the narrowness of the race course, every once in a while you're kind of forced into a wind shift that you really don't want to be on. I think the Kiwis have been headed a little bit on both sides in the last 2-3 minutes. Headed meaning not the perfect wind shift, and Oracle's got it back to 300 meters. They've almost halved the distance in a very short period of time based on the wind strength. Shifty out there. Very, very shifty in the wind.
Okay, starting to soften a little. Mark, you like slingers?
Clawing their way back into this contest, the Americans.
Tom Slingsby is looking at probably as an instrument right there that is helping him tell what the wind direction is. He's looking on the water for the dark spots, and he's probably using that instrument in his hand in order to help him figure out, is the true wind direction, is the wind direction working for them or against them?
Copy. Okay, get a building here, Jimmy. A little further. Okay, stand by. Looking for good numbers here, Jimmy. Big trim, big trim. It's going to be a foiler. 4, 3, 2, 1. Turn it. Big gains here, guys. High groove. Actually, VMG.
They're helping us out there, right? VMG, which means they just go normal. Sometimes you say high groove because there's a puff to weather of you, which means closer to the wind. Sometimes the puff is right in front of you. You want to leg into it. Huge gains on this wind shift on the last 3 or 4 minutes from just wind shifts. Really well done by Slingsby. This is all of a sudden a boat race.
Well, they were thrilled with that last foiling tack, weren't they? And look, they are gaining all the time on the Kiwis.
Kiwis better get up on their foils quick. If there's an overlap here, they're in big trouble. Oracle will have the right of way. They just barely get up on their foils on time. Barely.
Springhill is breathing down Burling's neck right now and applying the pressure all the time. And there's the protest from the Americans. So we await the decision from the chief umpire, Richard Slater. Will the Kiwis be a penalty down? No, they will not. They're free to go. But this is game on.
We were calling that the wind shift seems to be out of sorts for Emirates Team New Zealand from about halfway up that leg on. And sure enough, big shifts. But Oracle gets very slow in their jibe down to 8 knots, and the Kiwis are going 18. So all of a sudden, they get back in the race and just have a bad jibe, a super slow jibe. Oh, disappointment for Oracle Team USA fans.
Pressure's coming back. Okay, ready, Langer? Standard judge.
What a crushing blow after all that hard work. Reeling in the Kiwis. Now all of a sudden they're 350 meters further back.
Really low pitch.
That could have been a combination of just a light air patch, but they were almost in the same water. Whether we'll have to ask later. Look at this last leg. So watch the Kiwis. The Kiwis go to that boundary and then they tack and they have a really horrible angle coming back again. Oracle Team USA, look at the difference from there to there of the wind shift that Oracle is in. Massive gains. And sure enough, the same thing again. Oracle comes back at them in a wonderful wind shift, enough to make this race incredibly close, literally within a meter at one stage, but one bad jibe by Oracle, whether it's a puff of wind or just technique in the jibe, just spreads this thing out. They lost almost 300 meters in a jibe. Any sailor would think that's like literally impossible, but welcome to foil and catamaran sailing.
Well, it is a cruel blow, and we've seen, haven't we, throughout hard time here on the Great Sound, that just one relatively small error, that was quite a big one, but a relatively small error can cost you 150, 200 meters. This one much more costly than that for Jimmy Spithill.
A wonderful number by all of our folks back in the truck to figure out how many meters lost in that one jibe. That's going to go in the history books, I think. That is the new sailing that we are becoming more accustomed to all the time.
Copy. Okay, 10 away, boys. 5.
I'm going to guess they do this last little bit into the finish much better than they did the first time around. Better lay line through the gate. The pressure's kind of off with regard to where Oracle. Look at how far behind Oracle is.
Very light out of
a meter away.
You're right.
Still the Cyclones put it in. Every last ounce of their being is being left out there on the racetrack, but it is all paying off because they are having quite the day, the New Zealanders. They're through the last gate. They are tearing up towards the finish line.
As we've said many times, put the brakes on quick, boys, or you're going to be in somebody's rum drink very, very shortly.
What a day for Peter Burling and Emirates Team New Zealand. What a start to their match. A blistering opening. Laying down the gauntlet to the Americans. It is shaping up to be a brilliant duel, but the Kiwis have torn it up today. 2 wins from 2. They need 6 more wins, and the trophy will be theirs. But they have started in the best possible fashion.
That is Kiwi jubilance like we've never seen before. A couple of handshakes and a nice job, and that's all you're going to see out of these guys, I guarantee it.
I'll tell you what, you put the wind up,
Really just begun.
We're doing 50 VMG. We're just going.
So we're hearing those little chuckles. That's coming from the New Zealand boat, needless to say. There won't be too much laughing on board Oracle Team USA. A chastening afternoon here in Bermuda for Jimmy Spithill and the rest of his crew.
Wondering how that went so badly, so fast up at that last gate. What was a miraculous comeback turns into really, unfortunately, a shocking defeat. That's going to be a disappointed group.
Got a right turn here, Langer.
Yep.
Bad luck, guys. Good luck, boys.
Yeah.
Gotta keep hanging in there.
Keep hanging in there is the message from the helmsman, Jimmy Spithill. He's been through the mill before. He knows there's every chance. He knows what it takes to launch a comeback. Think back just 4 years ago, of course, the best and biggest of them all, the most dramatic of them all. We're not at that stage.